gentlemen, welcome to the 9th concert in our 2018 summer series. We have quite a bit to present to you this evening, a soloist from within our band and 2 guest conductors. We've assembled our program so that not everything is back-to-back with those folks. I help keep you on your toes on what's happening and where. This evening, we are happy to host a native of Iowa, Dr. Curran Prendergast, who is the Director of Bands and Assistant Professor of Music at Truman State University in Kirksville, Missouri. At Truman, he guides all aspects of the band program and graduate instrumental conducting programs. He is an advocate for new wind band music and is regularly involved in commissioning new works for band and connecting his students with living composers. He has also appeared as a guest conductor, clinician, and adjudicator in 6 states in our country, as well as appearing in Canada, Russia, and Switzerland. As I mentioned, he's an advocate for new wind band music, and he has chosen to include a couple of those choices for tonight's program that we know you'll enjoy listening to. So would you please give a warm welcome to Dr. Curran Prendergast. Dr. Prendergast begins with a piece from composer Charles Ives. Charles Ives lived from 1874 to 1954 and was an American modernist composer and one of the first American composers to become known internationally, even though his music was largely ignored during his lifetime. Ives was one of the first composers to engage in experimental music, using elements that aren't very common among most composers for concert band. You are, of course, familiar with the tune America, otherwise known as My Country 'Tis of Thee. Charles Ives composed this piece in 1891 when he was 17, and it was originally written for pipe organ. Then in 1962 it was written for orchestra and then arranged for band in 1968. Keep in mind that Charles Ives was known for using polytonality, 2 keys at one time, and polyrhythm, using several rhythms at one time. And then see how creative he had gotten with these variations of a simple melody that was once known as the de facto anthem of the United States. From Charles Ives, this is Variations on America. From the musical theater genre, we give you this timeless work from Richard Rodgers, who, in his career, wrote over 900 songs and 43 Broadway musicals, leaving a legacy as one of the most significant composers of 20th century American music. Rodgers was the first person to win what's known as an EGOT. That's 4 television awards rolled into one. E for Emmy, G for Grammy, O for Oscar, and T for Tony. He also won the Pulitzer Prize, making Rodgers one of only 2 people to ever receive all 5 awards in their lifetime. South Pacific opened on Broadway in 1949, transferred to another theater in 1953, and closed 1 year after that, after a total of 1,925 performances. At that time, it was the second longest running musical in Broadway history. There was a U.S. tour in 1950, and the show wasn't revived again until 2008, with another U.S. tour in 2009. We don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but yes, you will hear Younger Than Springtime, along with the very famous Valley High, as well as A Wonderful Guy, There Is Nothing Like a Dame, Happy Talk, and of course, Some Enchanted Evening. Dr. Prendergast leads us in selections from South Pacific. We're sure that most of you are familiar with the works of George Gershwin, like Rhapsody in Blue, American in Paris, and Porgy and Bess. Gershwin composed many piano works that have gone somewhat unnoticed over the decades, and Dr. Prendergast wanted to program one of Gershwin's piano works that aren't too familiar with, the Second Prelude, which comes from a collection of 3 preludes that Gershwin wrote for piano in 1925. Tonight we will play the Second Prelude, which has a distinct flavor of jazz. Gershwin himself referred to this as a sort of blues lullaby. We hope you enjoy this arrangement for band of Gershwin's Second Prelude. Dr. Prendergast will return to the podium a little later, and in a moment we'll bring our second guest conductor to the stage. Back in June, we unfortunately had to cancel a concert due to strong thunderstorms that day, and this young lady was scheduled to guest conduct on that date, so tonight we have rescheduled her appearance. Alexis Lamb was born in 1993 and is a composer, percussionist, and educator who has a fascination for fostering communities of positive and genuine music making. The American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers is a prominent organization in this country, and we are very proud to announce that Alexis was a recipient of the 2018 ASCAP Morton Gould Young Composer Award for her work entitled Maya, which is a song cycle for Berimbau Ensemble. Most recently, Ms. Lamb was a band director for the Meridian School District up in Stillman Valley for a couple years, and soon she will begin her Master of Music in Composition at Yale University this fall. Even though she'll conduct these next two pieces, she doesn't mind performing double duty this evening, as she's been playing in our percussion section so far tonight. She's been a member of this band for the past few years, as she earned her undergraduate degree at Northern Illinois University. She has chosen to personally give you the background notes on her two pieces tonight, so in a moment I'll turn the microphone over to her, but would you please welcome to the stage, and this time to the podium, Miss Alexis Lamb.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that it didn't rain today. I'm living in the Chicago suburbs right now, and I was caught in a hailstorm this afternoon, and I immediately called and was like, it isn't canceled this time, right? I need to know. So thank you for being here, and I'm so thrilled to present these two pieces tonight. This first piece, City Trees, I found, I'm doing some research right now on composers who are underrepresented in the concert band community. And this was a piece that just kind of crossed my mind as I was doing this research, and it stopped me in my tracks because of the just really rich harmonies and textures that are going on. And then I got a little bit more interested in what the piece was, and was looking into the program notes, and it turns out that the composer for this piece, Michael Markowski, wrote it when he was traveling, he was moving from Arizona to New York. And so the city trees that he saw were kind of these little hints of beauty in and amongst all of the sidewalks and busyness that is New York City. And for me, I thought that was just really reflective on my time here in Illinois, and now moving over to the East Coast, only a train ride away from New York City. So I'm sure that the busyness will still exist. But I'm here tonight, and I am so thrilled to present this piece. This is City Trees by Michael Markowski. Thank you.
Alexis Land, ladies and gentlemen. At the beginning of tonight's program, I mentioned that along with two guest conductors, we will feature a soloist as well. Mr. Aaron White, who began playing trumpet at the age 11, is our guest soloist. He's now 31. He performed with the Phantom Regiment Drum and Bugle Corps in 1990, 1991, and 1995. During his college education, he learned to perform as many different styles of music that he could. At Northern Illinois University, he performed in the jazz ensembles there and played in concert band as well. Aaron is a few years shy of celebrating his 20th year with the Sterling Municipal Band, and he plays lead trumpet in the Sterling Municipal Jazz Band as well. Aaron lives here in Sterling with his wife Dawn, who is a clarinet player, and their oldest daughter Jessica just joined this band this season as a trombonist. Aaron chose to play a piece from composer Claude T. Smith this evening, The Fantasy for Trumpet. This was a piece that was commissioned by the Getson Company, which is a major manufacturer of trumpets, and it was written for the incomparable Doc Severinsen. We want to add in here that Doc Severinsen turns 90 this year, and we thought it would be fitting to play this piece as this is our 90th year for the Municipal Band. Since this piece's premiere in 1967, few other trumpet solos have had the following that this one has enjoyed. So to play Fantasy for Trumpet, please welcome to the podium Mr. John James, and to the solo microphone, our principal trumpeter, Mr. Aaron White. chorus, ladies and gentlemen. For our next piece, Dr. Prendergast will come back to lead us in a moment. In this work, which was written in commemoration of the American Civil War, and it was written by composer Jerry Billick, who spent most of his career arranging music for television. In this piece, you'll hear many, many quotes of tunes from the mid-19th century. We sort of cover the era with tunes that you will hear in this work, some of which include Camptown Races, Dixie, When Johnny Comes Marching Home, The Yellow Rose of Texas, and the piece ends with a grandioso section of Battle Hymn of the Republic. From Jerry Billick, this is the American Civil War Fantasy, and please welcome back to the stage, Dr. Curran Prendergast. We hope you like this next one, and it's very interesting in its own right. The composer, David Beidenbender, actually began his program notes with a few definitions. He thought that that would sound a little cliche, but it makes sense for the character of this piece. The dictionary defines funk as an abrupt, flat, hollow sound, kind of like a book being dropped to the floor. So with that in mind, this piece was inspired by famous jazz pianist Thelonious Monk. You may have already connected the fact that the title of this piece sounds very close to Monk's name. Monk's wife, Nellie Smith, nicknamed him Melodious Funk because of his clunky, awkward, but brilliant piano playing and because of his somewhat scatterbrained and disoriented nature. This composer really liked playing around with Monk's name, first because he personally enjoyed goofing around with spoonerisms, mix and match letter games, and second because this nickname actually provided great musical inspiration. The obvious term melodious and funk. So those two became the starting points for this piece. The thunks are eventually transformed into long, smooth, laid-back melody accompanied by a funky bass line. There aren't any Thelonious Monk tunes that are borrowed for this piece, but a fragment of the Dizzy Gillespie tune, Salt Peanuts, is used. The composer hopes that the audience hears similarities between this piece and Monk's iconic musical style and quirky attitude. That said, the band, along with Dr. Prendergast, hope you enjoy this unique piece published only 6 years ago, entitled Melodious Funk. For our next piece, Miss Alexis Lamb will lead us in this work by Julie Giroux, and it was published in 2000. Alexis will also tell you more about this work, so please welcome back to the podium, Miss Alexis Lamb.
Thank you. So this next piece is by composer Julie Giroux, and I know that the Sterling community is very familiar with her work. She's been programmed a number of times. She's an amazing composer, really prolific composer as well. And this piece, Il Berloni, is Italian for the jester, and it was composed for Professor Christopher Izo, who, as I found out, was a guest conductor here for the Sterling Band back in 1999. And he was also a professor at Western Illinois University, and he recently passed away earlier this year. But from what I understand, his personality was very bright, very vibrant and playful, and so hopefully this piece does his personality and his legacy some justice. This is Julie Giroux's Il Berloni. Thank you.
once again, Miss Alexis Lamb. Dr. Prendergast has a couple more pieces for his program, so before he joins us on stage again, we give the percussion section some time to set up for the next piece, which was written by David Gillingham, born in 1947. He is a professor of music theory and composition at Central Michigan University. This piece is a three-movement suite featuring 4 original songs by American composer Stephen Foster. 2 of the songs are not well known, but they do show the characteristics of Foster's melodic, harmonic, and rhythmic styles. The first movement, A Penny for Your Thoughts, is presented in a march-like style. The second movement, Beautiful Dreamer, has some suave textures within its instrumentation. The third movement has 2 songs, the first of which is If You've Only Got a Mustache, which is written as a novelty song and is presented in a tongue-in-cheek fashion, where the second song, Gentle Lena Claire, has expressive sweetness in contrast to the first. This work by David Gillingham was published in 2003, and to lead us in playing this piece, would you please welcome back to the podium, Dr. Curran Prendergast. Before we close tonight's concert, we want to remind you that Sterling Main Street's next movie will be next Tuesday, and they will show Peter Rabbit. That movie isn't in theaters yet, so it's kind of a special showing, and it also wraps up Main Street's Movies at Grandin, so we hope you can make it next Tuesday night. This coming Saturday at 7:30 is the last concert of the season for the Sterling Municipal Jazz Band, so we hope to see you back here at Grandin this Saturday at 7:30 for an evening of jazz. And next Wednesday, folks, we wrap up Music Under the Stars for 2018. For our last concert next week, we will present a few solo works from members in the band, and also Dr. James Lambrecht from Augustana University will appear as our last guest conductor of the season. So please plan to be with us next Wednesday at 7:30. And as always, we welcome your donations to the Sterling Municipal Band, which not only help to bring these guests to you, our community, and our audience, but to assist in our general operations overall. Dr. Prendergast, sir, at this time, we'll take a little break and ask Alexis Lamb to join you at the front of the stage for a presentation. The audience will join you in welcoming the mayor of the city of Sterling, Mr. Skip Lee.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful night tonight. I see our insect friends are enjoying the concert as well. It was certainly a lovely evening and a great concert. Boy, some of these pieces were phenomenal. Melodious stuff I really liked. As you all are aware, it is our practice here to recognize those who have brought something valuable to the city of Sterling. We are so thankful for the tradition that the Sterling Municipal Band has of bringing guest conductors and soloists to our stage to share their phenomenal talents with us. What we would like to do then, and I have with me Alderwoman Rita Elston, is we'd like to present our guest conductors with a little memento for them to remember that the light is always on in Sterling and they're always welcome here. So Dr. Prendergast, if you'd step forward, please. I'd like to present you on behalf of the City of Sterling, the Sterling City Council, all of our fans, the band, to our city. We hope you will return. We'd like you to take somebody with you to Yale and to remember us with. And again, we really appreciate your contribution tonight. It was a great night. Alderwoman Nelson will present you also with the key to the city. Thank you so very much, and good luck in the study.
Good evening, everyone. And before we play our final selection, I just want to say a word of thank you to everyone here in Sterling and to John and Cathy James for their wonderful hosting of me and the wonderful organization that they've provided in preparing for this concert, as she does for every concert that we put on here.